All right, spawning at the top right of Khaydaria. It is the first map for this whole first set of all the Premier Division games and all the Contender Division games. Khaydaria was just recently added to our map pool for this season. compLexity.TriMaster is the blue Terran in the top right, and he'll be facing off against FXO. It says FXO Choya. I almost actually said it, but it is actually FXO.JKS. They are actually alternating games between North America and the Korean servers, so sometimes, you know, not every player has an account on both servers, so you will see some weird name swapping throughout this series, but FXO.JKS is the red Zerg up here on the top left. Yeah,
that's a rule that we added in for this season that was kind of in place for TAC 3. We cemented it more. Server swapping is enforced in every single match now in IPTL. So international teams will hopefully be on even ground with the Korean teams and vice versa in all the matches that they play going forward in IPL.
And of course, and if there's ever a situation where both players are on the same server, they can, you know, both play on Korea or both play on North America or whatever they need to do, and it won't really matter toward the alternating. But as long as everyone has accounts, and everyone should actually, by this point, the game is, you know, 2.5 years old, everyone should have at least some access to all of the servers. But we do actually have a drone scout headed out for JKS now. I'm not sure where he's headed specifically after that. Zelnaga Tower looks like it is going to be that bottom right spawn, but this is not a force cross position map. We're still kind of on the fence about, you know, whether we want to make it force cross spawns or not. Sometimes it can be slightly imbalanced in a matchup, especially like TVZ, but right now the Zerg player actually has his expansions farther away from the Terran player, so we don't really see that crazy imbalance like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with some of the people on the ESV team about this map and the potential of it being cross-only. We have a CC first for TriMaster for the hatch versus JKS, but the rocks really provide protection against a lot of the super early cheesy stuff like 2 racks Marines, so that the distance still you have to go around. But for a lot of like the 9-minute pushes and like 11-minute pushes, that's where it can be a little bit different. Not really a whole lot of difference, but a little bit different between, you know, adjacent spawns and cross positions.
Right, and of course the big factor is going to be siege tanks in most of these map imbalances. Just huge range on those siege mode tanks can cause any third on this map to actually be sieged up pretty easily. So we'll see if TriMaster actually is going to try to do that with this first game here. Barracks, actually 2 barracks going up now for TriMaster. The drone scout is actually going to get a view of pretty much everything as he works his way up this ramp. Obviously he's going to see these 2 barracks still being constructed, sees the command center nearly complete, and he can go back home with all that information.
Wow, and he actually goes 3rd hatch, not before pool, but just after his pool.
Before 4 minutes.
4 minutes, very early, very greedy build by JKS, and I think he'll actually be able to get away with it because TriMaster is only going 2 racks right now, and I don't really know how much pressure he's going to want to put on that going even with the close positions. It's still a pretty long way to go.
Yeah, and the fact that TriMaster hasn't added on any gas yet means that these 2 barracks can really only make 1 Marine at a time. He's basically just going to need those so that JKS doesn't just try to come kill him immediately. There are 4 Zerglings spawning right now. There's an SCV scouting around now for TriMaster as well, so he's going to get a look at least the natural and the main. He sees the spawning pool, but no gas is actually up, so I'm not sure if he's actually going to head down toward that 3rd base location. Probably would be a wise idea since he's not seeing any additional tech or any extractors at the natural. Probably going to go check that out, but if he heads home now, JKS could be in a good position.
I can't believe he actually didn't check it because the no gases, no units there, that's usually a red flag that something's up, and he really didn't check. He did go double gas though while he was scouting, so he saw something that, you know, said he wanted to tech up. Obviously there weren't any units there, so you can feel relatively safe doing it, and we'll see if he's going to go into Banshee play or if he's going to go straight into that Marine tank that TriMaster actually loves to go.
We do actually have a lot of Marines waiting at the top of the ramp for the first couple of Lings coming in from JKS. Actually, no, they're all leaving the base now to try and stop these Lings. That one spare Zergling could actually sneak in and try to get some more scouting information.
He's going to see everything.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, there's not a whole lot to see. There's no additional gas at the natural base, and he's not ever going to be able to get back up that ramp. No. Obviously, he knew that it was walled off earlier on, so probably not going to get a look in there, surviving with just a couple of HP there, 1 HP actually, as the Marines go ahead and chase him down, finish him off. But again, JKS 3rd hatch actually is going to be a huge difference since TriMaster never scouted it.
Yeah, we'll see if he does. He's going for a Reactor Hellion build, so I'm assuming at some point he's going to want to check the 3rd base with the Hellions, but that might have affected how he wanted to play this game if he knew that there was a 3rd base early or not, because 2 base can sometimes be quick 2 base muta, and you can be in trouble that way, but obviously that's not the case. He's going 3 base now, just finally getting his first 2 gases. Very good economy, getting a lot of drones, getting saturation already up to 32. That's going to explode in a few moments because he's only had to get a few Zerglings this entire game.
Yeah, TriMaster is actually keeping up decently well with SCVs. Obviously, he did go Command Center first, so he had a chance to build 2 SCVs at a time. Obviously, Mules are going to help out quite a bit as well. In the actual income, you can see slightly ahead, even though that big difference in Harvester count. A couple of Lings actually getting splattered there, trying to get a look around the natural again, but of course, TriMaster's not going to put anything on that low ground. He's doing all his swaps and things up inside the main. There's still no starport, which is kind of interesting, so we could see a Polt-esque ground push actually coming soon without any medevac support now that these Hellions and Marauders are coming out.
And I just noticed JKS is just now getting speed, and Stim is actually probably going to finish before Zergling speed. So there's going to be a timing there where JKS will be very, very vulnerable to just pure Marine Hellion. And it's actually adding Marauders too. So TriMaster actually looks like he's setting up for a very, very good 2-base push. Just now getting a Baneling Nest, the speed probably is not going to finish, and he's going double Evo Chamber before Lair as well. Very, very scary moment for JKS. If he can hold this, he'll be in pretty good shape, but it's actually going to be pretty difficult for him to hold this if TriMaster hits his timing well.
It's kind of interesting he built those Evo Chambers kind of off to the side instead of trying to build like a wall-off or a hook or anything like that, but we'll see if that actually ends up making a difference. TriMaster is going to roast down a lot of Lings, so JKS does have some time to prepare for this. He's got the Baneling Nest coming up now as well. I'm not sure if he's actually going to be able to morph any, though, by the time he needs them. A lot of Lings actually going to be in trouble here as the Hellions roll onto the creep, and you can see TriMaster on the mini-map starting to move as well with the rest of his Marines.
This is a big force. He's killed almost all of the Zerglings JKS had, quite a few, and JKS is going to have to make a lot more Zerglings. And he's not right now. He doesn't realize this push is coming. He thinks it's the Trash. Okay, 12 more Lings in production, but that is not going to be enough for this force that TriMaster has accumulated. If TriMaster does decide to push in, that's a lot for just 20 Lings or so to deal with.
Yeah, it looks like he's ready to go. That was actually quite effective Hellion harass going on between the second and third bases. Obviously, TriMaster is aware that there's that third base up now with the creeps red and actually having those Hellions run over earlier. He does have a lot of potential for stim here. He doesn't want to overdo the stim, obviously. Baneling's not being effective, being targeted down very quickly. No medevacs overhead still, though. These Queens are in trouble, and the Speedlings try to get as much of us around as they can, but TriMaster actually just going to continue rallying in units. One Baneling connects with a Hellion, doesn't even do very much damage. The hatchery is in big trouble here. We do have Lings being produced en masse, but they're coming from 3 different hatcheries, so they're going to be streaming in at awkward times. All the drones actually in trouble here now as well from the Hellions. This is looking really, really good for TriMaster.
Yeah, the point, you get right in between a Zerg rally point like TriMaster did, it's very, very hard for Zerg to come back from that simply because his army is never actually big enough to take everything at once, and he's losing all of these Lings from his third, so he only has really the 2 bases producing Lings, and because he over-droned, he just couldn't get his army in place before TriMaster moved in.
Oh man, this Evo Chamber is going to fall so quickly. No armor is going to finish for him, and JKS still just streaming in Lings from multiple directions. He is cutting off reinforcements, which is nice, but this force is still way too big to be able to just cut off reinforcements. The lack of medevacs here is really going to show as these Lings begin to chomp down on these very hurt Marines and Marauders, but TriMaster is still not slowing down. He's going to take out that other Evolution Chamber, and Baneling speed is going to be done here soon, but there are no Banelings even on the field at the moment. These last couple of Marauders and this Hellion finally getting killed off by JKS, but he lost that hatch and a ton of units during that fight.
And TriMaster is now pretty far ahead. If we look in the SCV count, I think, yeah, actually ahead in SCVs over drones right now, and obviously even bases with TriMaster having a 3rd orbital already built, adding on 3 more barracks with reactors on them. He's going to have a secondary push probably at about 13 or 14 minutes. And it'll just kind of, you'll have to see how JKS controls his infestors, which he's building, and his Banelings against this very, very large force. In addition to that, JKS actually just lost both of his Evo Chambers, so his Lings are still 0-0 against what's going to be 1-1 bio.
Actually, his +1 did just barely finish
okay.
Before TriMaster started stomping around in the 3rd, but obviously armor did not get finished off, and that's something you really want to have against Stim Marines, is that +1 armor, and it looks like the second push is ready to go for TriMaster. He's going to go for round 2, or at least get postured up, try and take over the middle of the map again. I'm surprised these Hellions didn't just walk over and kill that Ling, but either way, JKS kind of struggling now, and TriMaster with a big supply lead, over 30 supply leads still, as some more Lings are being created. There's not that many Banelings on the field. Actually, 8 Banelings could potentially do some damage, but if TriMaster is quick on the draw, he can actually shut those down as well. They do have speed, but you know, you see the Infestor and the Pathogen Glands in the production tab, they're not actually going to be of any use for quite a while, as they do take kind of a long time to get built.
Yeah, but TriMaster is going to have to do this quickly. It looks like he's decided he's not actually going to try to kill JKS now. He's just clearing creep tumors because without the medevacs, he's not going to be able to deal with the infestors, and he's going to either have to make a switch over to tanks really quickly, but he needs medevacs regardless, and he does have a starport just now finally getting his first medevac. Pretty late into the game to just start getting medevacs.
Yeah, it is actually very late, but of course he did have some success with that first attack, so really can't fault him for it. We do have siege tech actually being researched now as well, and the orbital is finally going to float its way over to the third. There is just one Ling there, so if he just detaches one of these Marines to come deal with that, he'll be able to do so. And obviously already queuing up some refineries and a bunker as well to help protect. JKS has reestablished his third. Not a ton of mining going on there, and actually still beneath TriMaster's worker count there. If we look at just workers lost, it's 12-0 right now. TriMaster with that early damage and actually in a great position as we continue on here. Up 40 supply now. TriMaster doing a great job macroing off of all these reactor barracks. I guess it's not that difficult to just spam Marines, but we'll see how they're able to hold up during the next encounter.
I would like to see TriMaster try to put some pressure on JKS, because right now JKS is just kind of getting his economy going, and he's free to do whatever he wants, and now JKS can, as he looks like he's about to do, can put some pressure on TriMaster and make TriMaster react to what JKS wants to do.
Look how spread out TriMaster is here. Tons of bio units, but they are very well spread. There's actually one siege tank here in the middle with that good radius, being able to do some spotting before they even reach that one bunker that he has established. This third base is just mining away like crazy. Look at all these mules on the ground too. 2,600 minerals, income to about 2K.
Oh wow, and here comes the drop that TriMaster needed to do. He's got double medevacs loaded in, though that looks like that's going to get cleaned up pretty quickly, though. The Ling's already there. Yeah,
TriMaster just dropping kind of absentmindedly and then saying, oh, wait, there's Zerglings there. Hive is actually on the way now for JKS, though. He does have more Banelings hitting the field, not actually spending any of those a little bit earlier. There is still one Viking. Oh, actually, one Viking out now trying to pick off Overlords is a nice touch. Obviously, he can clear away Overlords from his half of the map, too, and, you know, keep JKS from getting any of that vital information for when he moves out. TriMaster probably could take over the Zelnaga Tower as well, but not feeling comfortable with it enough yet. He's actually just building upon his lead. He's at 181 against 125. JKS's macro, not the best in the world for a Zerg player. But
he is building his fourth now, but TriMaster is about to hit 2-2, and he also already has +1 on his mech army. Spire just now going up for Broodlords, but it's a little late. This push is already in full force, and this is going to be very scary for JKS.
So that was kind of interesting. He did bait a fungal and some Baneling blasts there. Actually, the only 3 Banelings left in that mix, and TriMaster doing a good job focusing one of those down pretty quickly, but he still has a huge standing force. Obviously, those fungals and Banelings are going to be very, very much needed as TriMaster continues through here, sieging up. I like the leapfrog of the tanks, not sieging all of them at once, instead kind of inching forward and having the tank sort of lead the pack. That's actually kind of weird, but TriMaster is going to scoop forward now. He still has that tank sieged up in the back. You can see some blasts going down, fungal on the medevacs, but they are going to be able to negate that pretty well. And TriMaster with just way more units than JKS seems to be able to deal with at the moment.
Yeah, I think JKS is not ready for the timing of the attack. You see he's trying to build Lings now, but he was droning up his 4th. Oh, wow, but he's actually looking like he might be able to hold this. He needs a few more Zerglings, but oh, the Infestors go down as he ran out of Zerglings to buffer the bio units. And now, if he doesn't get enough out in time, TriMaster could do a lot of damage to JKS's economy.
Yeah, and you can see quite a lot of reinforcements, including tanks and medevacs coming along now to help TriMaster keep this up. He does pick up and saves what he has already there. Now he can actually position himself up on this high ground. He still has that tank sitting from earlier with 10 kills. I did see a little bit of a blast go down. That's actually the siege tank fire killing his own Marines, but that's okay, picking off a lot of those Lings at the same time. The tank does go down, and TriMaster is sitting with a lot less units than when he started, but he's still got that 50 supply lead.
I think he's going to have to back out of here, though, now, because he doesn't have that much of a force left.
Ooh.
And now JK, oh, wow, he's going to pick up quite a few Banelings. But I think JKS has enough now where he can clean this up, and TriMaster doesn't want to lose too much of his army at the same time.
TriMaster is actually doing 2 fronts now, attacking this base that is totally undefended, while just having the bulk of his forces still kind of creating a wall between that 3rd and 4th base. So JKS is not going to be able to go defend that. You can see a few Banelings actually trading for just a couple of Marines. Not the best trade there, but the tank actually, again, being the star here, allowing his bio units to kind of move in and out. Macro hatch is going to go down. It looks like this hatchery went down as well. And actually, there's the GG from JKS, and TriMaster takes the first game for compLexity.
Would not have thought TriMaster would be leading us off with